What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoop Show. We had a very exciting fight weekend last week. We had Charles Oliveira beat Beneil Dariush. We had Amanda Nunes put up a retirement after, a pretty convincing 5 rounds that she basically dominated every single one. Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. It was an absolutely great fight for how long it lasted. I really thought it was going to be more of a 5-round type of fight. I thought these guys were going to go back and forth. I thought they might go to the ground for a little bit. And Charles Oliveira said, yep, we ain't even going to worry about going on the ground. I'm just going to knock this motherfucker out. And that's what he did. He had him on the ground in the first round. I think that there was like 50 seconds left in the first round. And, Charles Oliveira just looked very good. He seemed very confident. He seemed somewhat healthy. I mean, the dude's pretty fucking big for a 155er. And, I think Beneil Dariush and Charles Oliveira look somewhat, kind of fatigued just cutting weight during the weigh-ins. But I think that if anything, that the weigh-ins kind of affected Beneil Dariush compared to Charles Oliveira. Plenty of memes of Beneil Dariush looking like a dehydrated pumpkin, but honestly, I do think that, Charles Oliveira was just that much better. I was talking about it beforehand. Beneil Dariush hasn't really been in that recent top 5 that is up there right now, or has been up there for so long. We've had Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira. Maybe not really Islam Makhachev for so long. He really kind of just broke into the top 5 when he fought Charles Oliveira. But, the one thing that this is going to lead to now is we're going to have Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2. And I'm going to be very honest. I'm fucking excited for it. I do think that it was a really big and exciting fight for, every UFC fan that was watching. Everyone kind of has this, understanding that people from Dagestan are fucking killers. Their discipline is different. Their wrestling is different. Their whole mindset is fucking different in the MMA community. Now, some people were saying, and, myself kind of included, but, just when it first happened, when Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira faced each other the first time in the ring, it didn't really seem like Charles Oliveira was himself, Maybe it was also a little bit when the fight first started, but he just didn't seem like himself, and he didn't seem like he was moving the way he usually moves. Didn't seem like his mindset was, where it usually is in fight night or for fight week. And I think that this fight itself kind of brought Charles Oliveira back to that mindset where he was on that 11-fight win streak. Now, I'm not saying Islam Makhachev's fight was a fluke. I'm not saying that by any means. Islam Makhachev showed up on that fight night and whooped Charles Oliveira's ass. No ifs, ands, or buts. But I do think that the fight wasn't really as close as it could have been. And, the same thing happens with this Beneil Dariush fight. If Beneil Dariush had a really hard weight cut and really wasn't feeling himself, his chin is going to be weaker. A lot of fighters have said that. There's a lot of things that go into weight cutting. Not only, is it just cutting water weight, but you have to watch your kidney levels. You have to watch a lot of different stuff when you're cutting weight. And even when you do make weight, there's a lot of stuff you have to pay attention to when rehydrating and, focusing on certain nutrition over other nutrition. You don't want to be fucking up with that type of shit. And, there's a lot of stuff that does go into it. So if one thing is off, your mindset, your thought process may be completely off compared to what it usually is like. So, again, I'm not giving that as an excuse for Beneil Dariush or Charles Oliveira when he first fought Islam Makhachev. But I do think that these weight cuts do have a lot to do with how fighters can perform. And if it's already a known fact that fighters' chins are weaker or when they do a heavy weight cut, then I think that should be a factor of why a fighter may have lost. Not only is it that, Charles Oliveira caught Beneil Dariush, but Beneil Dariush might have thought he might have been able to eat that punch. He might have been able to think, all right, I could take that, counter with this, and then before he knows it, he's waking up and like, what the fuck happened? Shit like that happens, and it may be because of the weight cut. If it's basically scientifically proven, though, that fighters have weaker chins when going into a fight with a big weight cut, I do think that, you've got to at least take that into factor or try and make a change or something. Not only do fighters know that they have to do the weight cut, but they choose what weight they're going to fight at. So it's really no one else's fault but the fighter's fault for, not only getting caught, but, having to cut that much weight. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev 2. Does Charles Oliveira come out like he was fighting Beneil Dariush? Or does he come out and fight like he was fighting 5 years ago, 7 years ago when he was losing pretty consistently? Who knows? But it's going to be a great fight night. Don't know exactly when it's going to happen. If I were to take a lucky guess, I know that they were talking about, or rumors were out that it might be happening in October. And if it happens in October, that's literally the 1-year anniversary of when they first fought last year. So I'd be more than happy for it to be in October. But honestly, if it doesn't happen in October, I'm not going to be all that surprised. I would rather think that it's going to happen probably sometime in December. But who knows with the UFC, honestly. It could happen at any fucking time in the next 3 or 4 months. And to shed some light on the Amanda Nunes retirement that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I definitely wasn't expecting it, but it also didn't really surprise me, if that makes sense. Amanda Nunes has been the GOAT. She's been on the top now for literally the entire time I've been watching the UFC. The entire time, back in 2018, when McGregor first fought Khabib, that is when I first watched Amanda Nunes fight. And since then, she won the belt. She won a second divisions belt and has only lost once to Juliana Pena. And then beat her literally 2 or 3 months after that. It might have been like 5 to 6 months after that. But either way, Amanda Nunes has been on the top. She's definitely the GOAT of the women's UFC, women's MMA. Whatever you want to say about Amanda Nunes, it better be about her being the GOAT of mixed martial arts for women's fighting. Definitely has proved herself a lot. I remember a lot of people talking about her resume, and I was talking about that last week doing the predictions. She's fought Shevchenko twice. She's fought Ronda Rousey. She's fought Holly Holmes. She's fought Miesha Tate. The list goes on and on and on. And, to have that kind of career, to have that kind of resume, and to still retire on the top, I think it's fucking impressive. I think, the amount of people that can say they've done what Amanda Nunes has done is zero. There is nobody that can say they have done what Amanda Nunes has done. There are zero people at all. There were the pioneers in women's MMA like Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes and Miesha Tate. And those women were doing, the first of their kind. They were the pioneers in women's MMA almost. And Amanda Nunes was kind of that second generation, maybe a little bit of that first generation, but still, she was like the new and improved version of all of those women combined into one. Like I said, she was very Mike Tyson-esque in her personality. Maybe not personality, but in the way that she had that Mike Tyson vibe. And I think that a lot of people that were facing her were already losing, or they had already lost before they even walked in the cage. And I do think it might have been a little bit of different for Irene Aldana, but at the same time, if you guys watched that fight, it was the biggest fucking snooze fest we've seen since William Knight fought back in like March. And you know where he's at now? Fucking fired.
You're fired. Get out of here.
Off of the UFC roster basically right after that fight night. And I'm not saying that's the reason Amanda Nunes retired, but, I do think that is a reason why Irene Aldana was not throwing as much. I do think that she was so scared to put herself at risk to, try and put the offensive on Amanda Nunes that she just didn't throw anything. And with that, not only did she put up a snooze fest, but she lost by the most one-sided fight that I think I've ever seen when it comes to a judge's decision. And, 50-45, you lost all 5 rounds. What were you doing? What was your game plan? What was your mindset in the fight? Did you try and, adapt? Did you try and change your game plan in the fight? Because obviously whatever was working for you, or whatever you were trying to do in the first 2-3 rounds, was not working for you. And you didn't really make that many changes in the 4th or 5th round. So what were you doing? That's my genuine question. What were you doing in that octagon other than, throwing a punch here, throwing a punch there? I get it. Amanda Nunes is one of the greatest to ever walk in the ring in women's MMA. But you can't be coming in off of, I don't care if Juliana Pena was supposed to fight and this chick only had 3 or 4 weeks. This is your one time to shine. This is an opportunity for you to make a career, to become a big name in the UFC. You created one of the most boring fights with one of the greatest fighters to ever step in the ring. And you did nothing. So what's my thoughts on Irene Aldana? I'm not going to watch the next fight. I can guarantee you that. I can put all my money on me not watching the next Irene Aldana fight wholeheartedly 110%. Why? Because she had an opportunity and did not fucking take it. And I get it. Sometimes there's a learning curve. There's a learning experience. I will, get the after action report on Irene Aldana's next fight. But I guarantee you I will not watch it. And I hope to God that, she comes out her next fight with a knockout or finish. Because if it goes to a decision, I don't think, she does much to, get a judge's scorecard's favor. She doesn't do much for a judge's scorecard for her to actually score a lot of points. And you just saw that with the 10-8s that Amanda Nunes was getting. So I'm not trying to shit all over Irene Aldana, but again, she was given an opportunity and did not take it at all. So hats off to Amanda Nunes. Hats off to Charles Oliveira. It was a great fight night. We've got a great next month. We've got International Fight Week coming up. We've got plenty of fights in July. We've got Jared Cannonier versus Marvin Vettori coming up this Saturday. We are going to be going live. It's going to be going live at around 7 o'clock, I hope. I will put it in the description so you guys can actually see the official time that we will be going live. Tune in this Friday for another video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that comment button, hit that subscribe button. And with that, guys, have a great fucking day.